Well, hello there, Nikki Does here once again with the HP85, in the HP80 series, and I had said in the last video that I had basically done everything, and that's not true. I had forgotten to put on these two heavy duty, I believe they're called, external snap rings that hold the CRT wire form and board together. And while I was doing that, I thought, well, I may as well show how I ground a CRT with this homemade contraption, which by rights should have a 1 mega ohm resistor or so, some kind of very high resistance in it. But I'm going to show that. And then there are a couple other little odds and ends. And the purpose of this video really is that I had never put back in these grounding straps while I was diagnosing all the faults with this. So I figured I'd look through that. And I suppose it's a pretty small thing, but the cork foot that's supposed to be on the bottom had come loose, so I will try reattaching that with just a little alcohol, and if that doesn't work, then we'll get some different adhesive. So because I need to be working over here, and the 8 kilovolts is down here in this area, the first thing I'm going to do is verify that the CRT is discharged. I'm going to do that by clipping one end of this. Some people call it alligator, some people call it crocodile clip. And then you all know where this is, but I'm going to show anyway, that light gray rubber boot where this red anode lead comes off the flybacks. There's a tall component in there. That's a transformer looking thing. It's a coil. And there is a red, kind of like a spark plug lead, and that's because it's quite high voltage, comes down and goes into the side of the glass envelope of the CRT. And you do not want to touch the CRT near that thing because, again, that is a huge capacitor, a lot of surface area with a big space around it, and it gets a high charge on it. That's what makes the CRT work. So what I'm going to do is take this screwdriver in here and get under the lip of this. I don't have to be aggressive with it. Take your time, get under the lip and touch. Make sure I touch to the lead in there and I can feel it. There's a springy lead in there. Touch that, and now that is certainly discharged. That has no voltage or potential in it any longer. So now I can work in this thing without worrying that I am going to fry myself to bits. It also makes sense to have somebody around when you're working on that stuff. I know that should be common sense, but it isn't. But have somebody around just in case. So these two, when I was taking the CRT apart, these two hold the board to the wire form, and I had decided to not put these on while I was taking it apart, putting it together, taking it apart repetitively. So now that everything is working, it makes perfect sense to put those on. So now that board will be retained not just by the snap clips on the other side, but by these protruding wire form bits. So now to get these grounding straps in here, and we're going to have to do a little bit of probably tripod work to show this well. Let's see what we can do here. Get you all close in. So there should be a grounding strap between, tighten that thing well enough. There should be a grounding strap between this point here, and a screw I will show down there in just a second, but also this point down here. And it's so hard to see this stuff on the little camera display. So let's see what I can do here. So there's a screw that I've just loosely dropped in here. It's got a star washer under it right there. There is a screw on a standoff right here on the interface board. And then there is a screw, and I'm pretty sure this is the case, and if somebody knows better, let me know and I'll have to do this again. But there's a screw down there between the printer density control thumb wheel here. I'm gonna put the screwdriver in it right down in here. And I thought it was supposed to have a star washer in it, so that's why I'm not 100% sure on that. But I'm quite sure that should have a star washer under it. And I wouldn't have lost that. That would not be a me thing to do. So, well, in any case, let's just go get into this a little bit and get that together. That was another one I didn't put back in when I was taking everything apart quickly. So to get that apart, and I think this is going to be worthwhile to show how I get these flat cables out of here. If you just got one of these, or if you're thinking about getting one and you watched a number of the videos, there's a lot of concern about pulling out these flat flexes and inserting them. Now, if you have 20-year-old eyes, I think that's a lot different than mine, but I tend to wear a magnifier with a light on it so I can make sure that the cables go in properly. So the first thing I'm doing here is, number one, Philips Posidrive rather, is to lift the keyboard up. And I should be able to prop that up with something. Okay, and then the second thing I'm going to do is I've got to get the printer out. So that's going to need me to remove these flexible cables here. So I'm not going to do that first, but the reason I've got to get the printer out is because I've got to get to the back screws in here. So yeah, so I'm going to take out these star washer screws that hold this printer mech in. When I do that, the keyboard's going to fall down like that. There we go. Yep. Yeah. So I'm going to take out the two screws for that. When you reinsert these screws, they do not get inserted with like wheel lug nut type force. These are not screws that you have to be cranking in real tightly. There's one down here. And that one is into a threaded insert, which is interesting. And it's long. Why so long on that one? Why the long face? That is a long screw. I don't know quite why that would be, 20, 25 millimeters, but it is long. Is this one the same? I don't know. And does it have a star washer under it? Or am I barking up a tree on this? And I should be putting this in a different way. So that should be it, and it is for the printer mechanism, but I did not yet remove these cables. So to lift these cables out, I tend, you have to be really careful with them, but I tend to give them a little gentle rocking motion. Let's make sure that's on camera here. Now, you can push some rigid PVC plastic, and one of the people uses a deli container, but I tend to just pull left and right like this, and they wiggle out. Now, that's great for getting them out, and now what you don't want to do is rub the face of these cables along the connector, so you don't want that to happen. So I'm going to do something like put this toothbrush to hold the cables out of the way of the connector. All right, I'm gonna hold the keyboard up, and I've got to take the power off the power supply board. I've got to take that off of there, and there might be a couple other things. Let's see what else I've got. I'm ever so carefully lifting that out. All right. Now, there's the power supply board, and it's attached to the printer. And I had to replace that fuse up there. But I think that's because there was a little bit of troubleshooting going. Oh, there's the washer. I think there's a little bit of troubleshooting going on. All right, here's the other screw and washer. So I should have, I think I still have not recovered the other screw, have I? I feel like I haven't recovered that other screw yet. Oh, there it is. Okay. So now the only thing is I thought there was supposed to be a star washer on that one. So let's go through the ones I do know for sure. This one, okay. So this one, I'm going to take out this star washer and screw down here, and it's fastens to the back plate where the power entry and all the other good stuff comes in. Of course, this has to be disconnected because those are not, this is not 2024 design. So this kind of stuff in 1980 was don't be a dummy and touch live stuff when you're inside of a product that says to be serviced by professionals only. So you were on your honor that that was the case. And I could go off on an opinion on that, which I will say just the slightest bit, which is, oops, if you're going to do dumb things, then expect dumb things to happen. So take responsibility. In any case, one of these two was, I'm trying to figure out the bends on these, how they fit. Because one of them was up here, probably like that. And the other one was down here. And this is one of those cases where you take it apart and you think, oh yeah, I'll get that. I'll know exactly how to do that. And that was the one thing I didn't document. And I wish I had. So I'm going to go back to this printer mechanism / power supply board and look for a screw on here that has a star washer under it. And I am not seeing one in here. And that does not make me happy. I thought that would be going to the, I know one of them goes up here. I've got that fairly tight. So one of them goes up on this guy. And it was going that way, so see, that feels like that would go right there. That seems reasonable. And if I just kind of, if I just put that in there enough to hold it and see if that's the way it is, we'll prototype this a bit. And then I'll grab one of these screws and lay it in here, but it definitely is a star washer under here, and I can't imagine I would have lost that star washer. All right, so that one, let's say, goes there, and then this other one would go, say, here. I think this is correct. So this is the one that's connected to the chassis. And I guess that would be correct. And then that one was on the bottom because it doesn't have the star washer imprint on it. So I think that's correct. I think that is the way this was put together right here. But I just can't imagine that I would have lost that other washer. I know, I am fallible. It is possible that I could have lost it. It's not in my baggie of parts, though. And I would have almost certainly just put it right back on there. Well, in any case, we're going to put this together like that. All right. So this mechanism... Oh, and if you notice, because I have the everything but the kitchen sink or EBTKS, I don't have the tape drive installed, and therefore I've Kapton taped over the ends of those connectors right there. So this should go in, I think that's going to have to go in last. So I'm going to take those back out, or take at least this screw out of here. I think we'll give this the cinching that it needs. Give this the cinching that it needs. All right. maybe we can leave this screw in there. Be lovely to see the assembly instructions, the original work instructions for when they were training the HP assembly technicians to build these, which I presume were, that was probably an upper echelon of employees to build these computers. These things were expensive, so I think I got that in the right spot on the first shot. Everything looks like it's sitting where it should. Wow. Okay, this one's hard to see me getting it in there, and it's probably going to be a bit of a struggle, I presume. So let's see what I can do, and it probably won't be great video. I think that is right over the top of it. Maybe that's why they use such long screws. Yeah, I think I'm in there. Okay. The one in the back, on the other side here, that should be a little easier. That's right between the two printer motors. Okay. And then we only have the two in the front to hold the printer mech to the case. And again, when you tighten these down, this is not time to be Johnny Armstrong. This is, you just need them on there, not crazy tight. And this one in between the CRT, the power supply board, and the printer, that one again will be a little bit tricky. I'll loosen this one up a bit so I can slide this over just a bit. That one will probably be a little tricky to get in there. It's a job for a tweezers. But let's see if I got it. Yeah, I think we got it. Yep. Okay, we'll tighten this one back up on this side. Okay, so now we've got to get these cables back in here that I've used the toothbrush to hold away. We'll prop up the keyboard again with said toothbrush. That should work. So, and I know I might take some heat for this, but the way I handle these cables is I make sure that as I'm touching this into the connector, I am not letting the silver foil parts touch the front of the connector at all. So I make sure I've got all the, so they delaminate, and that's happening a little bit here. I can see a little bit of it. I'm making sure that I bring the cable from bottom to top, meaning I kind of lay the leaf of the cable down at the bottom of the connector and go flip upward and never go down, because if you go down, you run the risk of delaminating those parts. And then I do the same thing here. I bend this board a little bit and flex that in, and that one went in beautifully. So same thing here. I'm going to start at the bottom and then move up and let it flop into the slot like that. I make sure it's aligned left to right. That one seems very loose. In between the slots. One more up. There we go. Make sure I'm aligned front to back, I should say in this case. So the strip of silver of metal is lined up with the terminal inside the connector block. And then again, I push a little bit on this side, a little bit on this side, and it flops right in. That way I'm not messing with all those plastic pieces trying to wedge things in there, which would probably slow me down quite a bit and be potentially difficult. I think maybe cause more trouble than it's worth, but you get to be your guy on that. 2 screws for the keyboard. Those are into threaded inserts. 1 and 2. Okay. Cannot forget back here to plug the power supply connector in. That's this one. 3-pin Molex. Okay, that's in. Here's our number 1 key. That's, I think the last thing that needs to be fixed on this is the number 1 key. All right. Dead fuse. Let's plug this in now and see if we have the power. Plop. We have a power indicator. Do we have? Look at that. Let's do it. Yeah. Or we can do something different. Let's do one more program. Let's scratch that one. Let's say 10 for x from x equals in this language 1, 2, 10. Print hello world. Oops, did I not put a line number in front of that? Silly. Silly. Now I get to show off the editing capabilities. 20, print hello world. Now we have to go back up to 10 because we've overwritten 10, and we will re-enter that one. And let's list it again. So that's good. 30, next, x. And 40, we have to have an end in there. So now we get the whole thing together. Hello, world. HP 85 from 1981. Here's the date right here for this molded part was 11/13/1981. I don't know if you can see that in there, but somebody wrote silver marker on a silver part, so yeah. Yeah, baby, it is together and it works great. The only thing not working now is the tape drive and the little keyboard key, but we're getting there. Can I get that paper to not be stuck behind there? There we go. Got most of it out. That's the hardest part. Okay. This tape drive eject button goes over here. Here we go. And we're also going to put this foot on the bottom. Let's see if we can do that. I'm not going to screw this case together yet. So one of the little cork foots came off here. And Generally, I find if you take a little bit of alcohol, you can sometimes rejuvenate these adhesives. I don't think this is going to be one of them. But we do have another way. If that doesn't work. And the other way is pretty simple, and it is an Elmer's glue stick. So here we'll take some, we'll dry that off a little bit yet, get the alcohol off. We'll just take some Elmer's glue stick, put that on here rather liberally, and stick it right back into its home. And hope that we've solved that problem. Carefully turn this back over. And yeah, tape drive and the number one key seem to be the only two things remaining to make this thing picture perfect. Thank you for watching.